6 fierce robbers armed to the teeth rushed in with great momentum. Their target was none other than the largest bank in India. 3 of them broke the door and rushed in, quickly took down each guard, and disabled the entire surveillance camera system. Dozens of customers in the bank were immediately controlled, obediently handing over their phones. At this time, the remaining 3 went out the back door to deal with the resisting guards, then attached a bomb to the door. Then they quickly returned to the main door of the bank and also installed a second bomb in the same way. As soon as someone touched this door, the bomb would automatically explode. But just as the robbers were rummaging around, they discovered a silver-haired old man sitting cross-legged. See top try. But immediately after, the old man turned around and dealt with the robber in the most skillful and Indian way. After taking down the robber, he walked out into the lobby with a cold expression. The remaining robbers saw this and immediately prepared to act. David did not say anything, raising his hand. He was a gunman. The situation was instantly reversed with David's help. And then the robbers were taken down. Just as everyone was about to thank the savior, David's words silenced everyone present. I also came to rob the bank. All this money is mine. At this moment, the bank wall exploded. The special forces began to rush in. David saw this and waved his hand to signal everyone to retreat. While holding 2 submachine guns, he rushed forward. He wore a mask and held 2 guns alone, killing each of them in the blink of an eye. David single-handedly took down the entire special forces team and finally threw all the special forces members out of the main door. At this time, the outside of the bank was surrounded by many curious people. After receiving the news, the police chief immediately led his subordinates to the crime scene, while David confided in the robbers on the side. But the robbers took this opportunity to sigh. It's all because of this damn old man. We can easily rob him. 700 billion now is great. Not even a cent can be taken. We can even be locked in a cabinet. But unexpectedly, David ridiculed them. Your 700 billion is not worth mentioning at all. If I say it, I'm afraid you will be scared to death. I want to rob 70.000 billion. The robbers all shook their heads in disbelief when they heard this. They all thought that David must be bragging. But David told them, as long as you do as I say, I guarantee that after the mission is successful, I will give you a share. If you don't do it, you will die. The robbers had no choice. In order to save their lives, they could only obediently compromise. David told the bank employee to cooperate with the robbers. Opening the safe, he used the phone to contact the police chief, threatening him to order the withdrawal of all police forces from the bank. At this time, a kilometer away from the bank, there was a truck parked. The woman in the car was staring at the screen with a smile on her face. It turned out that she was David's accomplice who was following him, watching every move outside the bank and reporting the situation to David immediately. The bank robbery had been reported in the media, but the man in front of the TV screen was extremely nervous, because he was the chairman of this bank. Because of this incident, the bank's stocks and reputation were seriously affected. So he ordered his subordinates to absolutely not let the robbers walk out of the bank alive. The robbers, with the cooperation of the bank staff, opened the safe, and the next scene shocked everyone. What appeared before their eyes was 1.500 billion rupees. Seeing the scene, the robber leader was blinded by greed and decided to kill David to take all this money. Just as they were about to attack David, David unexpectedly prepared in advance. But David did not kill them, but took out his phone and played a recording. The robbers listened to the recording and immediately understood everything. It turned out that the person behind this robbery was the police chief of the police station, and the robbers were all his men. It is known that the deposit amount according to the regulations of this bank is 1.000 billion rupees. But according to internal sources, this bank violated the regulations to deposit up to 1.700 billion, and their target this time was the difference of 700 billion. Because even if they robbed this money, the bank would definitely not dare to speak up, let alone report it to the police. Even though the robbery plan was the first time, this was perfectly planned. But what they didn't expect was that the police chief intended to kill them after the robbery was successful and take the stolen money for himself. But he didn't know that his dark plan had been discovered by David. The enemy heard the recording and was extremely angry. They decided to officially cooperate with David to deal with the police chief. At this time, the police chief outside the bank was running out of patience to avoid his plan being exposed. He decided to immediately eliminate the robbers to avoid future disasters. At this time, the police raised their sniper rifles, waiting for the right moment, ready to act. However, at this time, David received a warning. The sniper also pointed his gun at him. But soon after, the cars outside the bank exploded one after another. The incident was beyond everyone's control. After learning of the incident, the mayor immediately sent an expert to the scene to deal with the incident. The expert quickly arrived at the scene to take over the scene and immediately deployed a combat plan and ordered the blockade of the surrounding sea and airport to prevent the robbers from escaping. Seeing the expert's determination, the police chief panicked and didn't know what to do. At this time, the bank manager ran over and instructed the expert to quickly subdue the robbers because once they robbed the bank, they would be in a difficult situation and face the risk of bankruptcy. The expert was very confident and told Budu that he would absolutely not let them leave the bank alive. Then, he led his subordinates to immediately take action to destroy the robbers. At the same time, David inside the bank seemed to be looking for something. At this time, several fire extinguishers on the wall caught his attention. After careful inspection, he discovered that there was a bomb inside the fire extinguisher. If it exploded, the bank would be leveled immediately. But the strange thing was that this bomb was not brought in by David. So who was it, and how did they bring the bomb into the bank through the security gate? It could be seen that besides them, there must be another group of people secretly playing tricks in the bank. The experts here also immediately arrested him. Carrying out the first mission, he ordered his subordinates to cut off the entire surveillance camera system around the bank. Then he called David to negotiate. Unexpectedly, David revealed the story of the police chief in Neo robbing the bank. The expert heard and was angry. Thunder immediately sent someone to escort the police chief for questioning under the expert's interrogation. Finally, the police chief confessed the truth, although he was the mastermind of this robbery, but the person behind the scenes pulling the strings was Budu, the bank director, because the two were old classmates. So Budu went to see him and together planned to carry out the 700 billion rupee robbery. To ensure the plan went smoothly, the police chief went to see a professional agent in the black market. This person, nicknamed the Devil of the Night, is an important criminal wanted by many organizations and countries, and this professional agent is this ruthless killer, is the police chief. David used his connections to find the group. David told him about the plan to rob a bank, but David did not respect him and flatly refused. The sheriff reluctantly had to assign this bank robbery mission to another group, and the robbery was carried out. After hearing this, the expert was so angry that he couldn't stand it anymore and slapped the police chief twice. Then, he ordered his subordinates to immediately escort Budu for questioning. At this time, Budu had already seen the incident and was about to escape. Unexpectedly, on the way, he was stopped by David's subordinates. The police then investigated David's information, but the system displayed that all members of David's group were dead. This information made the expert extremely confused. He was obviously dead. So who was the robber in the bank? Even if he was still alive, why did he come back to rob the bank after refusing the police chief? The police chief's testimony made the expert suspicious. He turned around and slapped him again to prove that what he said was true. The police chief told the expert that in fact, the bombs at the bank door were all fake bombs to scare people. He told the expert to rest assured and led everyone to subdue the robbers. But at this moment, the expert no longer trusted him. Who would have thought that the police chief would rush straight to the bank like a mad dog to prove his words and make amends? He directly picked up the bomb. Do you believe it now? This is a fake bomb. Hurry up and arrest them. A loud bang rang out. The police chief immediately ate a lunchbox on the spot. Unexpectedly, David secretly brought in a real bomb to stabilize the situation. The expert hurriedly contacted David to negotiate, but David said that he only wanted to talk to the chairman of the bank. In an emergency, the expert had to connect the phone to the chairman of the board. I found the bomb. The chairman immediately came to see me. Through the conversation between the two, it seemed that the chairman also had a secret that could not be revealed. He angrily called his subordinate Budu, but he didn't know that Budu was controlled. Who is he? How did he find out about the bomb? I don't know, you're useless. You ruined everything. This is not 700 billion rupees, but 25.000 billion as expected. In the bank actually hide 25.000 billion rupees, and David comes here for this money at this time inside the bank safe to investigate who brought the bomb. The robbers are searching each bank employee, but at that moment the situation suddenly reverses. One employee suddenly kicks the robber to the ground. Right after that, everyone quickly runs to control him. Then they try to teach David a lesson after controlling all the robbers. The bank employee calls the chairman. It turns out all of them are the chairman's men planted in the bank. The main purpose is to complete his next plan. Not long after, the chairman sits on a Rolls Royce to the scene, preparing to enter the bank to negotiate with the robbers to guard against uncertainty. The person in charge of the scene has put on him a hidden microphone so that when in danger, he can loudly call for help. Everything is ready. The chairman, when I enter the bank, but then the sound plot again. Reverse. Luckily, I almost ruined my plan. Let's carry out our plan, okay? By the chairman's orders, a plan that has been planned for a long time is about to come to light. They found the bombs hidden in the bank. Before then, they locked all the hostages in the safe. This was part of the chairman's plan. He wanted to blow up the safe along with the people and money inside. Then he put all the blame on David. Finally, he will walk out of the bank safely and complete the plan, but he is not in a hurry to act, but gives David 10 seconds to answer his next question. Who are you? Why did you rob my bank? If within 10 seconds you cannot give a satisfactory answer, I will detonate this bomb and kill you. The chairman is in great pain. If you tell them to put down the gun, I will tell you a story that will surprise you and continue according to David's story, which began to be revealed earlier. David used to live in Thailand Lawn. He lived very well with his group so that he could wash his hands of the sword and completely abandon his past life. He took the group to India to start over. He thought that he would live such a peaceful life for the rest of his life. But unexpectedly, on that day, everything changed. His life went through tremendous changes. Several Indian assassins opened fire on their house, and their comrades fell into pools of blood one after another. David only managed to take one surviving comrade and escape. But unexpectedly, on the way to escape, they were attacked again. In the end, both the person and the vehicle were attacked by the enemy. Lamb fell into the abyss. But fortunately, David narrowly escaped death again. He hugged his injured comrade tightly and found a family to hide in. After a few days of dedicated care, both were finally saved from the hands of death. This attack was quickly reported in the media. The dark evil group that had caused a stir overnight had completely disappeared and was declared dead. But no one knew that David was still alive. He secretly sent people to investigate the attackers. From the testimony of one of the assassins, he learned that the mastermind behind the incident was Budu, the bank manager. After dealing with the killer, David sent someone to follow Budu 24/7 and wiretapped his phone calls, but unexpectedly Budu was just a puppet. The real mastermind of the whole thing was the chairman of the bank, and the two of them secretly planned to rob the bank, but they didn't know that their plan was heard by David. At this time, the chairman was completely under David's control because David was holding all the recordings of his crimes. Once the evidence fell into the hands of the police, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to escape the law. I can give you 700 billion in exchange for that recording. What about the rest? I want 25.000 billion. Are you drunk? Have you forgotten? Don't play dumb with me. At the same time, the police discovered Budu in a car near the bank. At this time, his body was covered with bombs. He quickly told the whole truth to the police. It turned out that the chairman had told Budu about his plan, so he went to see his friend. The old school was the police chief to cooperate to ensure the plan went perfectly. And it was the police chief who came to David's secret service group and he told them the whole plan to rob the bank. But David washed his hands of the sword and refused him. Because David knew about their plan to rob the bank, Buddha sent an assassin to kill David's group. After hearing this, the expert immediately understood everything. But at the same time, from afar, David's teammate detonated the bomb. The police chief and Budu were both dealt with by David, and now the next important character. That is, you kill him. Giving you a chance is useless. Indeed, the older the ginger, the spicier the situation was once again reversed. Unexpectedly, David had taken all the bullets out of the gun. At this moment, David also officially entered a fighting state. He quickly opened his eyes and threw a punch into the air at their heads. Then, he kicked the president, sending him flying more than 300 meters. The president stood up and prepared to jump through the door. The book ran away, but was eventually caught by David and pulled down at the same time the TV station received David's video, and David continued to tell another story, a secret that no one knew was about to be revealed 3 years ago. A bank held an award ceremony for outstanding employees. Everyone was smiling when receiving the award, but only this guy was unhappy because he could not complete his personal goals. His superiors not only ridiculed and humiliated him, but also transferred him to the bank's fund business department. But he did not give up because of that, but based on the small client list in hand. He started calling clients day and night, telling them stories after his tireless efforts. He finally became an outstanding fund manager. Not only did he earn a lot of money, but also won the Best Employee Award. But that joy did not last long. In less than 2 years, many banks declared bankruptcy one after another. The fund he sold also faced the situation of not being able to repay the investment. The giant with tens of thousands of customers lost everything. Customers kept contacting this guy asking him to come forward to solve the problem. Investors came to his house to collect debts, and the amount of debt kept increasing. Under great pressure, this guy wanted to go to the bank manager for help. But the bank manager took advantage of his failure to inform customers about the risks to threaten them, and even tried to blame him and reluctantly sent him to jail. This guy had to find a way to save himself. Not only did he spend a lot of time collecting evidence, but he also took advantage of the time when the senior leaders came to the bank to inspect the work. He called a large number of investors to the bank to collect debts. This young man was determined to seek justice for his customers. Unexpectedly, the chairman of the board of directors of the bank revealed his shameless and fearless face. He even threw this upright young man out of the window with his own hands. At that time, the police were downstairs to maintain order and also help the bank to drive away the customers who gathered to cause trouble. During the course of their duties, they caused 2 innocent people to die in the sea of fire. But this incident did not cause a big stir in society. The bank announced that the fund manager had resigned due to too much pressure. The young man's parents knew that their son had died unjustly, but they did not know who to call. They could only pray to God for help. Then God really appeared. It turns out that after being attacked by an assassin while on the run, David accidentally came to this family's house. Thanks to this, he saved his life after knowing the circumstances of his savior. David decided to seek justice for him. He would personally take back the 25.000 billion from the investors. The truth was exposed, and now David would have to find out the 25.000 billion rupees hidden in the bank. David asked an expert to prepare 2 reporters for him. He planned to do a live broadcast to reveal all the evidence of the bank chairman's crimes to the public, and then the battle between justice and the capitalist forces officially began. David asked him to reveal where the 25.000 billion investment was hidden to avoid responsibility. He put all the blame on the fund manager, but he did not expect that David had sent someone to arrest the fund manager who was trying to escape. Then David asked the fund manager the same question. Where is the 25.000 billion rupees? In the end, he even forced a policeman out. The fund manager coaxed him. After being beaten for a while, the fund manager finally spoke up. But he said that he was also a victim because they used that money to invest in stocks. So he had to ask the securities manager. As expected, the securities manager was also shocked. David also used that method to force him to reveal where the money was hidden. I confessed that all the money was given to the chairman. It turned out that all the money was used to invest in 10 companies. And these 10 companies were all owned by the chairman. The money was right here in this bank, in a secret cabinet, inside of which were hidden 25.000 billion rupees. Expert, did you hear that? In the end, did I rob the bank or did they rob the people? The truth was finally revealed. The people watching TV immediately cheered with joy. The plan was exposed, and the chairman's partner began to panic. He immediately called the mayor for help. But unexpectedly, the mayor made an unreasonable request to split the 25 trillion rupees in half. And in the end, the chairman's partner had to make a helpless compromise after the 2 sides reached an agreement. The mayor sent the army to rescue the chairman. Not long after, a general received the order. He went to the bank first, dismissed the expert in charge of the scene, and surrounded the bank. At the same time, David led everyone into the bank safe, forcing the chairman to open the secret drawer. However, the scene before their eyes shocked everyone. It turned out that the 25 trillion rupees were all hidden under the secret drawer. But unexpectedly, the situation was reversed again because the 25 trillion were all counterfeit money. Just when everyone was still confused, David calmly took out his cell phone because he had discovered the chairman's plot early on. It turned out that this year, the chairman had come to inspect the bank a total of 18 times, each time bringing a container truck. So he did so. He secretly transferred the real money to another place. His purpose in this robbery was that after the robbery was successful, he would use the prepared bomb to blow up the bank and destroy the fake money. After the fake money of 25.000 billion was destroyed, he would escape with the real money without anyone knowing. All the people involved in this robbery were just pawns in his hands. At this time, outside the bank, the army had surrounded it tightly because the mayor had ordered that everyone in the bank except the chairman must die in case of emergency. David stuffed all the real money in the safe into his pocket. Then he locked the chairman and the two people in charge in a secret drawer. Seeing this, the chairman finally revealed where the 25 trillion was hidden on my ship. I had hidden the money in 25 containers on the ship. After learning where the money was hidden, David turned around and left without hesitation. At this time, the army was ready. The general ordered a fire. The bank lobby instantly turned into a living hell. Dozens of innocent people died in the sea of fire. The experts were also helpless at this time and could only watch the army massacre. But at this critical moment, 2 fire trucks rushed through the crowd and stopped in front of the bank. Then, David's comrades jumped out of the truck carrying 2 tons of TNT explosives. If it exploded, everyone here would die. Seeing this, the army immediately stopped firing. David leisurely walked out of the bank. And then the group left arrogantly in the open road fire truck. David's actions moved everyone, and he became a hero in their hearts. David threw the real money he had stolen onto the street. Then, they arrived at the port and quickly boarded a speedboat heading out to sea. Dozens of military speedboats followed. The final confrontation between the two sides officially began. Armed helicopters fired fiercely at the speedboat. David and his teammates were hit by bullets and fell into the sea. Seawater continuously flooded into the ship's hold. Not long after, the boat sank into the sea and disappeared from the surface of the water. At the same time, the video of the chairman's confession was also released. The shocking fraud scheme that had been hatched for a long time was finally exposed. Finally, he had to pay for his crimes. The experts went to the chairman's ship and found 25 trillion rupee hidden in the container. But it wasn't over yet because David and his teammates weren't dead yet. At this point, they swam to safe international waters. Ending the movie, David used the walkie-talkie to contact the expert. He didn't thank me. Why not just me, but all the people who were fooled will thank you. The value of a movie lies in the reputation of the movie, and the value of a movie review lies in the emotions. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching the movie. What do you think about this movie? Please comment below and subscribe to support the channel.